good morning, everyone. I think before we start our webinar, we'll have like 2 minutes before everyone enters. So meanwhile, please let us know. I put a little survey in the chat, so please let us know if you hear us and see us properly. And also you can write down in the chat, where are you from? Which city, which country? Oh, that's great. So we have some first answers. Łódź, Wrocław, Warsaw, Lublin, Germany. Oh, great. So let's us just give like a few minutes. Oh, again, Germany, Słupsk. Okay, also before we start, I'll just say a few words from our point of view. So we'll have like really interesting webinar with a lot of practical knowledge. But if you have any questions, just write them down in the chat. We'll try to feed them at the end of this webinar to answer them. But if not, if we will not have too much time, we'll of course get back to you with the answer directly. So yeah, do not hesitate to ask questions. Oh, warm greetings from Łódź. Thank you. Okay, so I think we are ready. So, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to today's webinar, the how-to of AI chatbots with RAG, organized by MakoLab in partnership with Amazon Web Services. Today's webinar will drive us through the secrets of technology, architecture standing behind the success of AI chatbot projects. Today's webinar will also focus on implementation steps, all based on real-life success stories. And I would like to welcome all the speakers. So Maciek Popko, Head of Digital Solutions, MakoLab, Maciej Tałałaj, Enterprise Account Manager in Amazon Web Services, and Maciej Stanisławski, Head of AI Team, MakoLab. So, gentlemen, I'll get back over to you to continue the webinars and share amazing knowledge about AI.
Thank you for this intro. Now, if anyone can let me know on the chat if you can see the screen, actually, that would be nice. Can you see the presentation? Okay. Okay, then let's go ahead. So basically, let's look at the agenda for today. We have a couple of points. We'll start with a brief introduction of who we are. I'll try not to bore you to death with 35 years of history of MakoLab. Then we'll have a couple of info on working solution, actually, and a little bit of deep dive into technical architecture. And we'll also have a look at the cloud topic, which is why Maciej Tałałaj from AWS is with us today. We'll also have a look at industry-specific applications. I mean, both internal use cases and external customer-facing use cases. And we'll cover a little bit on how to get there, actually. And of course, in the end, we'll have a short Q&A session so that you can ask a little bit more about the details. So let's start with a brief story about MakoLab. As I said, we are 35 years old now, with global reach, 7 offices across Europe and the USA. And we're a mid-sized software company with 270 experienced engineers on board currently. As you can see, we are proudly bearing a couple of important certifications, including ISO and TISAX. When we take a look at the customer base of MakoLab, you will find a lot of automotive customers, finance, insurance and banking, and also publishing, media, and aviation. It's not possible to present all of the projects that we have done throughout 35 years. It's not possible to explain about each and every engagement with each and every customer that we had. But on the last note, I would like to point out that we are very proud also to partner with cloud companies such as AWS, which is today with us. And now I will hand over to Maciej Stanisławski, our head of R&D department, to tell you a little bit about the implementation of external chatbot.
Hello, everyone. So as you've probably experienced, we see chatbots spawning everywhere. It's becoming the new normal, and there's general, I'd say, a demand for chat-related solutions. And the case I'm showing you today by Maspex, cooking chatbot for Maspex. Maspex was brave enough to start talking about LLM-based chatbots as soon as September 2023. So to give you an idea how fast the technology was evolving at that time, so between the September 2023 and when we started talking about the project, and before we delivered the solution on July 2024, there were 18 large language models published, or new releases or updates to current models. And the major proprietary ones and the open source ones. And the framework we used to build the chatbot was upgraded 60 times. So as you probably know, that this technology is evolving rapidly, and the train is still going. We still have to chase it. So first of all, what's the use case? So Maspex has this site called uwielbiam.pl. It has over 16,000 recipes. They wanted a cooking chatbot that could help the user to find and how to prepare meals, find meals and how to prepare them. So not just by looking at them, but also talking about them. And the chatbot is in Polish, so the whole and the site is in Polish. That's why you see Polish everywhere here. And why would you want to use your own chatbot instead of just using ChatGPT or simply even embedding ChatGPT onto your site? So if you ask an LLM for a recipe, so for example, for a fast and healthy soup kids might like, you'll most probably get some answers, and even most probably most of them will be pretty accurate, but they will not for sure have recipes from uwielbiam.pl, and they will not include products, the exact products or brands Maspex has. So the recipes that are in their database will not appear if you browse through ChatGPT. So how do we use them? Our recipe database with our LLM. And the answer here is RAG. So the technology is in fact very simple. I'd say even genius in its simplicity. In RAGs, we don't train anything. The training is resource and time consuming. It's a costly process. So in RAGs, we don't even fine tune the model to like you would do for a specific task. In RAGs, we just feed the large language model with the prompt and documents retrieved from the database. So in this case, recipes. And we let the model answer accordingly to our prompt, and just we're letting the conversation go smoothly with the user. So how does the model know it's an actual conversation, not like a Q&A, simply question and answer? Just with each question, we send the history of the conversation as a context, so the model knows exactly what we are talking about. And by the way, we're not limited only to conversations, because we can do agentic actions also, such as submitting an appointment to some other system, or make a web API call, make a phone call, print documents, start searching in some other systems, to expand the knowledge that the model already has. So the cases, in fact, are numerous. And okay, so now time for a live demo. Let me. Can you see my screen, the chatbot? Okay, great. So here you can see the site of Uwielbiam.pl. The chatbot, by the way, is only allowed to for the logged in users. So you have to have a account here on Uwielbiam.pl. So okay, so let's start. I need to type in Polish. That's why. So I'll ask for a recipe for a healthy soup. Kids might like the one I told you about before. So okay, so let me tell you what's happening behind the curtain while the chatbot is thinking about the answer. We are using 3 intelligent modules to process the user query. So first we classify whether the question is about cooking. So we don't want our chatbot to solve philosophical questions or math problems. We also cut off at the very first step. So the classification, we also cut off any security related issues like jailbreaks and bad PR related questions or requests. So the goal is to have a secure, friendly chatbot and save our clients, so Maspex in this case, tokens, right? And I could give a separate talk about LLM security because it's a major topic on its own. But so this is the first thing. So we can see here the chatbot gave an answer, a broccoli soup, and gave some additional recipes. Let me. Okay, my kids don't like. So my kids don't like broccoli. What can I, substitute them with? So and the 3 intelligent modules I told you about. So the second module is responsible for extracting the user question. And what the user is asking, in fact, because the question of the user might actually be a story on its own. So, for example, my parents-in-law are coming in for dinner, and I would like to make a very chic meal, and so on and so forth. But the model needs to extract the very essence of what the user is asking about, and we also use that LLM for that. And the third step is the conversation. So we let the chatbot answer politely. And we also add similar recipes, like I told you here, because Maspex knows that the user likes browsing other recipes too. So we keep asking more questions. So the answer, the value of the chatbot here is that I can talk with him and I can talk with it, and it can give me additional recipes. Like, for example, here. That my kids don't like broccoli, and he said that you can do a carrot soup, a cauliflower soup, bean soup, and so on and so forth. So, for example, and as you can see, I'm asking about the carrot soup here. And there are numerous use cases, I say, because, for example, if I get a recipe, I can ask how much that I don't have, for example, colendra. I don't know how colendra is in English, but for example, if I don't have colendra, I can, ask what can I substitute with on how much, for example, is a bunch. Thank you, coriander. Yes, thank you. So I can ask, for example, how much is 2 spoons, and I can get, if this recipe is, for example, for 2 people, I can ask my chatbot to make it make a recipe for 4. So this is the when we're combining the general knowledge of an LLM, which is huge, with our own use case, with our own database and recipes. So coming back to our presentation, so this was a demo of a live proprietary cloud model, right? But I wanted to tell you about one more use case. We can do RAGs internally within our infrastructure without accessing the real world at all. We did a POC on our Confluence. It was internal on-premise open source model based on it was a chatbot for users of one complicated project where we tried to test RAG against multiple different attachments, for example, PDFs, docs, Excel, code, and whether we are able to vectorize the data properly and get sensible information using the chatbot. So if you remember, the idea behind chatbot, behind RAG, in fact, is that large language model has some general knowledge, but we wanted to get the exact data from our documents inside Confluence, recipe database, documents, PR, HR documents, you name it, and get the exact data and not to hallucinate based on the general knowledge. So, for example, if you would ask large language model like GPT, what frameworks and practices does MakoLab follow in the project XYZ, it would most probably give you an answer, hallucinate something, browse through the web pages and find information. But we wanted to attach the documents from our Confluence and get the specific knowledge. This is inside our knowledge database, not accessible to public. So we can share it with team, with just one team, with the whole company, without sharing it publicly. So this is we can also do RAGs on premise using open source models and being strictly close to our own infrastructure. So based on the many cases we did, we developed a generic chatbot platform where we can create specified chatbots attaching multiple sources, like knowledge databases, Confluence, ticketing systems, you name it. And this allows us to build chatbots quickly and using multiple layers of data processing, so data acquisition, then the preparation, and then the data consumption. So to make the whole process is just to make the data ready for the end user to chat about this data in a nice conversational manner. And the use case is the key here. Okay. To summarize what an intelligent chatbot is, what a RAG is, I'm demonstrating here a high-level architecture. So starting from the left, we can see from the user perspective, we have a front-end application. So it can be a web page, it can be a mobile app. From the client perspective, we have a source database. So there are the recipes or internal data from the Confluence. This data is vectorized using embedding models. And in the case of Maspex, it was Amazon Titan service and stored in a vector in a target databases. So in case of Maspex, it was Amazon OpenSearch, but it can be any on-prem equivalent of a either embedding model or a vector database. And each question of the user is processed through a set of intelligent modules, which are using cloud on-prem LLM models. In this case, in case of Maspex, it was Claude stored in Amazon Bedrock. But in case of our internal chatbot, it was Llama 3.1. So, for example, why did MakoLab and Maspex choose to deploy this AI cooking chatbot using cloud services? it was like so cloud services like Bedrock, Titan, OpenSearch, and it was using the cloud makes the solution highly scalable. So it can easily deal with 33,000 or 300,000 users. So if you pair that with a token-based pricing of Bedrock, the whole solution becomes very flexible and scalable from the business and architectural point of view. So, for example, should the Maspex consider opening the chatbot publicly to, for example, non-logged users into a countrywide TV campaign, the number of users can grow rapidly and the services can scale. But you can, of course, do that on your on-prem, inside your company, on-prem solutions and scale them accordingly. And I will now pass floor to Maciej Tałałaj from AWS, so he can tell you a few words about Amazon services.
Hello, everyone. Welcome from lovely Warsaw. My name is Maciej Tałałaj, and thanks for having me today. I work as an enterprise account manager in Amazon Web Services. Today, I will give you more insight about how companies use cloud-based generative AI to better support their customers, lower costs, increase pace of digitalization, and achieve goals faster. Amazon Web Services, or AWS, is a part of Amazon, and it is the world's most comprehensive and broadly adopted cloud, offering over 200 fully featured services from data centers globally. So millions of customers, including the fastest growing startups, largest enterprises, and leading government agencies, are using AWS to lower costs, become more agile, and also innovate faster. And more than 100,000 enterprise customers use AI and machine learning services offered through AWS. Machine learning has been a focus for Amazon for over 25 years, and many of the capabilities that customers use with Amazon are driven by machine learning. Let me give you some examples. Our e-commerce recommendations engine is powered by machine learning. We use deep learning to drive Prime Air, our delivered Jones service in the US, but also computer vision technology is a backbone in Amazon Go, our physical retail experience that lets customers select items off a shelf and leave the store without having to formally check. But also Alexa, powered by more than 30 different ML systems, helps customers billions of times each week to manage smart homes, shop, get information and entertainment, and more. And last but not least, daily operations of fulfillment centers that deliver over 1.6 million packages every day are powered by machine learning. So this enables us to bring the benefits of generative AI at scale to literally everyone, to find new ways to innovate with generative AI, to deliver next generation chatbots, to optimize operations in the new ways, and to enable creativity in ways we can only imagine. In AWS, we outline 4 broad categories where we are seeing generative AI deliver meaningful value. Let's start with creating new experiences by building a conversational interface to access information and applications by employees and customers. And how about boosting employees' productivity by helping them creating content, code, or images faster? Or creating insights from large amount of documents and making it easier to share knowledge across the organization and take better, more informed decisions. But also, let's not forget about using generative AI for product ideation or product development. AWS is uniquely positioned to responsibly deliver hyper-personalized customer experiences and transform organization productivity for improved ROI. So as you build generative AI applications and FMs, or foundation models, you have to carefully consider how the technology impacts different groups, prevents harmful system outputs and misuse, or informs stakeholders around how they engage with the AI system, includes mechanisms to monitor AI system behavior, and appropriately obtains and uses data and models. So let me describe our 4 best practices here to innovate responsibly with generative AI. Let's start with put your people first. It's critical to prioritize and deepen your workforce's education so that your people understand how Gen AI works and how to develop and use it responsibly. Also, assess risk on a case-by-case basis. Consider risk in the context of each use case to help you determine which safeguards to put in place. I'll tell more about safeguards in a minute. And then the narrower the use case, the easier it is to effectively assess risks and benefits. Third, iterate across the AI lifecycle. Continue to improve the solution by making adjustments based on feedback from users and customers. And finally, test again, and then test again. Testing is really the secret sauce of every innovation, from software development to space exploration. So evaluate the accuracy and performance of any use case using its own performance evaluation and datasets, and do it really, really often. So these best practices will continue to evolve, of course, but they can help demystify responsible AI and lay the groundwork for you to innovate, generate new value, but also to create powerful customer experiences with generative AI. So when you're ready to get building securely and responsibly, where do you get started? Maciek said about solutions, about cloud-based solutions. So in AWS, we understand what is needed to bring generative AI to your customers and employees and to yourself. So depending on your needs and skills, you have a freedom of using the most appropriate way to innovate through artificial intelligence. Deep capabilities, choice, and enterprise readiness is frankly at your disposal. So let me walk you through the AWS generative AI stack. Let's begin with the bottom layer. If you are building your own models, AWS is focused on providing everything you need. We provide Amazon SageMaker AI, managed end-to-end service that's been a game changer for data scientists and machine learning engineers in preparing their data for AI, managing experiments, and also training model faster. SageMaker AI offers the widest selections of foundation models and access to the latest publicly available FMs for faster time to market. And this is very important, that this customer choice is important because we believe no one model will rule them all. That is why customers need the flexibility to use different models at different times and for different use cases. And for this, SageMaker is a perfect tool, and it has got you covered. Well, besides, we have also built Trainium and Inferentia, our purpose-built chips for AI training and inference. It gives you an opportunity to build your AI applications at one place with AWS. We're also investing in a middle layer of the generative AI stack to make it easier to access a powerful and diverse set of LLMs and other foundation models. Therefore, you can quickly customize those models, all while maintaining security and privacy. We also believe Gen AI should help everyone at work, whether or not they have to, they know how to deal with the foundation models, RAG, or any of the rest. And that brings us to Amazon Bedrock that Maciek has already called out. Amazon Bedrock is a fully managed service that offers a choice of high-performing foundation models from leading AI companies, including AI21 Labs, Anthropic, Cohere, Meta, Mistral AI, Stability AI, and of course, Amazon, along with a broad set of capabilities that you need to build generative AI applications, simplifying development while maintaining privacy and security. With Amazon Bedrock's comprehensive capabilities, you can easily experiment with a variety of top-notch foundation models. You can customize them privately with your data and create managed agents that execute complex business tasks. And all of that without writing any code. What's even better, with Amazon Bedrock, you don't have to manage any infrastructure. So when you're building with generative AI, you want the interactions between your customers and the applications to be safe. You want to avoid toxic language and keep with your company guidelines. So the easiest way to do that is to put consistent safeguards in place across your whole organization. Then everyone can innovate safely. Guardrails for Amazon Bedrock enable you to implement safeguards tailored to your application requirements and responsible AI policies. It can be used across foundation models, so you can bring a consistent level of protection across all your generative AI development activities. With guardrails for Amazon Bedrock, you can specify topics to avoid, and the service automatically detects and prevents user queries and model responses that fall into those restricted categories. Last but not least, you can also set up your apps with configurable thresholds for toxicity and offensive language using guardrails to filter out harmful content to the desired level. So now let's move to the top of the stack, and to help bring generative AI to everyone at work, last year we released Amazon Q. It is AWS's generative AI-powered assistant that helps make your organizational data more accessible, write code, answer questions, generate content, solve problems, manage AWS resources, and take actions. Amazon Q is built with security and privacy in mind from the start, making it easy for organizations to use generative AI safely. For instance, Amazon Q maintains access control to all your data. If a user cannot access it outside of Q, they can't access it within Q. So why millions of customers choose AWS? Let's start with a broad range of models and services to transform consumer experiences. With Amazon Bedrock, you can choose from high-performing foundation models from leading AI companies through a single API. Also, AWS has got the most performant, low-cost infrastructure for generative AI. It allows to accelerate AI innovation with the broadest and deepest set of sustainable capabilities. But also, builders train and run inference at scale with infrastructure purpose-built for machine learning in AWS. This is very important. Security is job zero in AWS. We offer the highest security and privacy standards to protect you and your data. For instance, you run generative AI where your data lives while keeping it private and under your control with robust security controls. But also, customers use automated abuse detection and governance capabilities to ensure generative AI deployments are responsible, auditable, and compliant. And finally, AWS Partner Network offers access to industry-focused partners who accelerate your innovation with purpose-built solutions, just like MakoLab is doing it for Maspex. So having said that, I give the floor to Jacek. Jacek, the stage is yours.
Okay, thanks, Maciej, for this journey on AWS and the role it played also in the Maspex use case. Now, let's have a look at the use case perspective. In modern software development world, basically everything starts with the right use case, and this is the good way to go. Now, before I go further, I know that we have a couple of questions in the chat, and please sit tight. We'll do our best to answer them within a few minutes during the Q&A. So basically, if we have a look at the AI use cases and maybe try to visualize this as a sort of a compass, what we can see is that there will be a number of internal use cases, which we see on the left-hand side now, which basically support employees to be more effective, more productive, and maybe also speed up a little bit on all of the internal processes. At the same time, allowing our best side, which is human creativity, to basically grow at work. When we have a look at the right-hand side, to look at the customer-facing use cases, the use case that we have for Maspex is also a new way of interaction. So basically, we are talking to the database of recipes that Maspex already had, but providing the users with more fun and more accurate way to find answers. So this could be used, of course, for sales, self-service, tech support. And the good thing about this is that it can be, of course, 24/7. So it can run on Saturday, Sunday, any time of a year, actually. Okay, so let's have a look at the internal use cases. If we kind of split that down by business units, each and every organization will have sales function and HR and some sort of IT support, at least for enterprise world. So what you can see right now is description of top of mind use cases that could be built around using LLM and RAG. Now, before I go further, I know that there's been some questions about what is the advantage of using sort of proprietary solution like a RAG, and I think this is a question which many people ask. It even pushed Wall Street Journal to bring up an article, I think in October 2024. They wrote a very good article about generative, publicly available models, not knowing much about golf or mortgage or any other domain of life in detail. And this is the very answer, actually. So the RAG solution is based on domain knowledge, on knowledge which, on the pool of knowledge which has been created inside the company and is stored in Confluence, in databases, various text documents, PDFs, and so forth. So basically, if you try to ask a question like how to solve X problem at MakoLab, maybe, and you try to ask that to ChatGPT, of course, it will not be very specific. But if you ask this question to an internal chat, which is fed with Confluence database, then that's a different story. It can be much more accurate, of course. Of course, we can split those use cases per task type, so that approaching this from a technical angle, of course, it's about data access and task automation and internal communication. So this is where we can see the kind of agentic actions, such as maybe booking meeting rooms or scheduling meetings or generating reports, or maybe delivering some company announcements and updates. Of course, communication is key. So as you can see, it's basically also top of mind approach of what is possible, but I believe that within every organization there sits a potential for innovation, and this technology is to basically use this. So following, we have a couple of ideas for specific industries. Like we can imagine a chatbot assistant for a customer-facing use case for automotive companies, such as automotive OEMs, dealers, retailers, insurance, and so forth, where the customer can chat about vehicle specifications, pricing, availability, and so forth. This could be also used as a part of user onboarding when the customer is buying a new car and they want to know when the car will arrive. We know that it's a tough question to answer, to fetch the data from various underlying systems. So the chat interface is a very good way to go for this use case. Now, business-wise, of course, you can see a number of benefits for that approach, including better lead qualification or saving time and providing personalized recommendations. Not mentioning, of course, the innovation factor, which basically puts you on top of headlines. For the insurance industry, there is a number of things that one can do when talking to a chatbot assistant around buying a policy, making some adjustments, and maybe managing it also, and also working with any sort of claims processing. Actually, MakoLab also has other solutions which are sitting in the domain of claims resolution, including automated understanding of what has been broken in the car, maybe. So as you can see, the chatbot interface can be a gateway to a very swift consumer interaction. It's a no-brainer to use chatbots in e-commerce. Maciek Tałałaj just a few minutes ago was covering the machine learning topic on and the huge experience of AWS on that. And of course, it's a no-brainer to use chatbots in e-commerce to support enhanced user interaction and better user experience to build brand value, of course. It's not only about sales, of course, it's also about making users' life easier after the sale is done, to cover the use case of maybe finding spare parts and accessories. Not an easy thing. Each one of us has tried that. In finance and banking, also we could use chatbots for supporting the loans and credits process, and also for troubleshooting. And we believe that using AI chatbots is a good way to go to basically lower the cost of consumer service in this industry. Now, apart from those industries that we selected, and of course there are many other where this technology can be used, but before we focus on technology, there is one more important point that I would like to cover. I think last year, August 13, 2024. So RAND published a very good report on what are the root causes of failure for AI projects and what can be done to mitigate risks and how to basically succeed. So long story short, there is an excerpt from the report on left-hand side on the screen now, and that's something that I think we are fully aligned with. That's basically, if we focus on the problem, if we focus on the value that we can deliver, this is way to go. So I know that there's been a lot of effort on playing with new technology. There always is, but it's much easier if we start with the right use case, basically. So it's no harm to play with technology, to build POCs, to basically understand how it works, to get some inspiration. But if one thinks about production development, then it's really good to think about some good business case. Talking about POCs, it could take as quick as 12 weeks to basically build up a POC for a chatbot assistant. At least this is something that we can claim at MakoLab, and this is something that we can propose. So basically, long story short, I think this is it for the presentation part. I think it's time we talk a little bit about the topics that were mentioned during the presentation, and we answer some questions.
Yes, thank you very much for your presentation, gentlemen. So now I will display the questions on the main board, and I will ask you to answer them on the way.
Okay, so I guess that's a question to me. So since it is an LLM, why are you needed to type it in Polish? I should have mentioned that because we we forced the LLM in the prompt, in the system prompt, to answer only in Polish. So because we wanted to, and the client wanted to answer it in Polish, and even though we would, I can show you the screen right now, and even if we wanted our chatbot to answer in other languages, it will reply that it cannot do it. So here's the conversation we had before, and I told him to reply in English, and he apologized nicely that he only replies in Polish. And even if I give him a request in English, it will answer in Polish because he is forced, in other words, to using the prompt. And the key here is the important prompts. To have the prompts ready for the so to say to have the borders of the answer for the LLM, so that it answers to the point, answers in the language we want. It does not go to some other topics that we don't want it to discuss, doesn't say anything bad about the company, and so on and so forth. So that's I'd say this is the answer to this question.
Okay, thank you. So let's head over to another question.
Okay, which Llama 3.1 did you use, 8B or 70B? We used 8B. It was simply because we at that time we didn't have bare metal, so we didn't have a machine and a GPU that could host a 70B model, which was fairly big, and it was doable because the project, the Confluence data we had were in English. Because if we wanted to use 8B on Polish data, that's a big problem because 8B doesn't speak Polish very well, or any other languages, in fact, apart from English. That's why it was doable on an 8 billion model. So, and right now we have a machine that can handle 70B and even larger models. That's why we're planning to extend the POC to a larger model, and even to do a second part of the POC with regards to Confluence rights, privileges, and user accessibility, right? So that we can test which and prepare a solution for the user, so that users only have access via chatbot, only have access to the right documents they actually have access to inside a very complicated rights model like the you have in Confluence, for example, or in Jira and the other systems, big systems.
Okay, great, thank you. And maybe Jacek, now question to you.
Yeah, okay. So basically, as I mentioned before, it makes sense to build a proprietary solution using some sort of ready-made model, but augmented with internal data sources whenever there's a use case which involves fetching for some domain knowledge which is available only from company data. So basically, in Maspec's case, this domain knowledge was the database of recipes. But if we take another example, it could be a set of user manuals, PDF documents for products, maybe, so that users can enter and interact with the chatbot to learn how to switch a function on, or make some adjustment in the product, or how to fix it, or whatever. So basically, yeah, that would be my answer.
Okay, thank you. And next question is, what is the advantage of solution compared to Copilot Studio?
I guess it's a question regarding Amazon Q, right? So maybe I can take it. So basically, one of the Amazon's and AWS's tenants is working backwards with customers. So first of all, we need to understand what are the needs, and then we can propose a solution. So instead of comparing to some other like products or services in the market, so let me maybe focus on key differentiators of Amazon Q. So first of all, this Gen AI assistant boosts all your employees' productivity, right? So also flexible and scalable pricing to empower your enterprise-wide adoption of the solution, helps you being not locked in rigid annual commitments. Then I could mention faster time to value with built-in connectors. Amazon Q helps you connect your enterprise data with 40 plus pre-built connectors to support user access control. Also, privacy and security that I mentioned before. We provide enterprise-grade data privacy, safety, and security control here. So also Amazon Q Business supports enterprise guardrails. And last but not least, I can mention about the fact that users can generate apps in a single step from the conversation with Amazon Q Business by describing their requirements using natural language. But again, as I said, I'd love to understand more about the use case, and then we could work backwards to understand what is the best solution possible.
Okay, thank you, Maciej. And next question is, for the isolated on-prem version, you will provide your app RAG. How can we implement this into our environment? Is it like VM, which can be imported, or it's something like a Docker image to deploy the Kubernetes environment? Is it possible to connect it using like a WebSocket connection to integrate it into our existing pages?
Okay, I can take that. So yes, it's generally it can be a VM, it can be a Docker image. So in fact, if I can show the presentation and show you one, this one. So if you look at the high-level architecture, it's generally the same for every rack. So here is the thing in the middle, the intelligent modules, is mostly an REST API. It's a backend application that can be run on a VM, on a cloud service. It can be run on a cloud machine on a bare metal in your infrastructure. But it's generally a REST API that takes, so to say, keeps the whole logic of the solution. And there are things attached to it, in other words. So here you would have your applications, so multiple web pages, for example, or mobile applications, or things like that are connecting via the REST API. It can be a web, if you would like streaming, then it can be a WebSocket so that the answer is streamed back to the user. But it also can be like a question and answer. So if the model produces the whole answer, it will give it back to the user. So this is and about the model. So the model can be either a GPU machines within your environment, within your infrastructure, and there are, so to say, solutions which implement it as easy as REST APIs, for example, Olama or other solutions that they in the end they just give a REST API so that each application can talk with the GPU large language model, but on the GPU inside an infrastructure. But as I can say, it can be a cloud service, or it can be bare metal, so a VM in a cloud. So the whole solution is very flexible in terms of architecture, and we also, when we start thinking about the use case, we also think about the from the infrastructural point of view. We think how this can be deployed, and like in the case of Maspex, they wanted this to be flexible, because if they open it to the public, for example, hundreds of users might come in and start talking about it. So that's why we wanted to scale up. But if it's an on-prem solution, then we can easily sort of do a solution in advance. Imagine the solution, how it work in advance, and scale for it. So in other words, this is very flexible, and we need to think about this as parts that are interconnected, and some of them might be on-prem, some of them in the cloud, or they all be in the cloud. It's just puzzles that we put together.
Yeah, just one comment to that, Maciek, if I may. You mentioned about scaling up, but also it's important if you need to scale it down, right? So basically, it works either way.
Okay, thank you. And maybe a last question. As we said on the beginning, every question will be answered, but today we have only 1 hour, and we will get back to you with all the answers. So maybe last question: can we use any open source model in AWS, or there are any restrictions?
That's a great question, and thanks for asking. Yes, you can use open source models in AWS, and you have it via Amazon SageMaker that I mentioned in my part. So you can deploy models from Hugging Face, for instance, I don't know, Llama 2, Falcon, or whatever. You can also custom train and fine tune open source models in Amazon SageMaker AI. So frankly speaking, like the short answer is yes. But maybe now we don't have so much time to elaborate on that. But maybe after the webinar, it would be good to also provide some detailed explanation how to do it.
Okay, thank you very much for your attention for presentation. So I showed a little survey. So if you would like to be contacted for a follow-up meeting with specialists from MakoLab, please let us know. Write down yes in the survey. So you will let us know that you would like to some more insights from MakoLab. So. Anyways, thank you all for active participation in the webinar. The materials from the webinar will be soon on your email address, either the presentation and of course the whole recording. For more insightful webinars, events organized by MakoLab, follow via website or social media to be informed. Thank you, gentlemen, for the presentation. Thank you very much for all the guests that appeared in this webinar, and hope see you soon on the next insightful webinar organized by MakoLab. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.